students, I hope you are doing good, and today we have unit number 1, The World in a Wall. Before starting the chapter, we have to know about the author, who wrote it and why did he write it. So the author is Gerald Durrell. He was a naturalist, a zookeeper, a conservationist and a TV presenter. He had a great love for animals, for pets, and he discovered that he had a great love for animals when he was moved to Greece with his family. So let's start this. This extract is from the autobiography My Family and Other Animals by Gerald Durrell. Durrell was an expert in studying animals. When he was 10 years old, Durrell, his older siblings and his mother moved to Corfu in Greece to live with Durrell's grown-up brother Larry. It was here that Durrell began to collect and keep animals as pets. So basically this is an extract that has been taken from the autobiography My Family and Other Animals that has been written by Gerald Durrell. So what the first paragraph says that he moved with his siblings and his mother to Greece, the city Corfu, to live with his elder brother Larry. So it's been highlighted that Larry is already living in Greece and he's moving to Greece to live with his elder brother and to find that his hidden love for animals and pets. Let's start with the first paragraph. Okay, so we are going to start our first paragraph. Let's read it. The crumbling wall that surrounded the garden alongside the house was a rich hunting ground for me. It was an ancient brick wall that had been plastered over, but now this outer skin was green with moss, bulging and sagging with the damp of many winters. The whole surface was an intricate map of cracks, some several inches wide, others as fine as hairs. Here and there large pieces had dropped off and revealed the rows of rose-pink bricks lying beneath. So in the first paragraph, what he says that there is a wall right next to his house which covers the garden of his house. So he goes over there, he tries to observe the wall very closely, and what he finds that the bricks of the wall are pink, that has been plastered, and he finds a lot of insects and different little animals over there. The inhabitants of the wall were a mixed lot, and they were divided into day and night workers, the hunters and the hunted. He says the inhabitants which live in the wall were mixed. Some were the night workers and some were the day workers. At night, the toads and geckos were the hunters. Their prey was a population of stupid, absent-minded crane flies, moths of all shapes and sizes, and rodent beetles hurrying with the night's work. So at night, toads, geckos, crane flies, moths, and rodent beetles sharply at the work, and they were hunting prey for their food. By day, it was difficult to tell the difference between the prey and the predator. He says during the day there are a lot of insects and it is very difficult to differentiate who is the prey and who is the predator. Everything seemed to feed off everything else. The hunting web searched out caterpillars and spiders hunted for flies. The dragon fed off the spiders and flies, and the swift multicolored wall lizards fed off everything. He says the spider hunted for flies and the dragon fed off the spiders, and the lizards fed off everything. They ate everything for their food. Next paragraph. But my favorites were the shyest members of the wall community who did not seek any attention. They were also the most dangerous. You hardly ever saw unless you looked for it. And yet there must have been several hundred living in the cracks of the wall. If you gently lifted a piece of the loose plaster away from the brick, the crouching beneath it would be a little black scorpion, an inch long, looking as though he were made out of a polished chocolate. So he says that I have seen a lot of insects, but my favorites are the shyest members of the wall, and those members are the scorpions. They are slow, they are tiny, and that's why they don't move very fastly. So he refers to them as the very shyest members. He says they are also the most dangerous creatures that lives inside the wall. They were weird looking things with their flattened oval bodies, their neat crooked legs. Crooked means twisted. The enormous crab-like claws, enormous means big, bulbous and neatly jointed, and armor, and the tail like a string, brown beads ending in a sting like a rose thorn. The scorpion would lie there quietly as you examined him, only raising his tail as a warning sign if you breathed too hard on him. They were weird looking things with their flattened oval bodies, their neat crooked legs, the enormous beak-like claws, bulbous and neatly jointed as armor, and the tail like a string of brown beads ending in a sting like a sorrow's thorn. The scorpions would lie there quietly as you examined him, only raising his tail as a warning sign if you breathed too hard on him. He says that he likes the shyest members, which are scorpions. They are weird looking things and they have flattened and oval bodies. They have twisted legs and enormous crab-like claws. They are fat. They look fat because a lot of tiny scorpions are attached, are clinging to the big scorpion female who is inch long, and that's why it shows like an armor which human beings use in the war times. Then one day I found a female scorpion in the wall wearing what at first glance appeared to be a pale fawn fur coat. Closer inspection proved that this strange garment was made up of a mass of tiny babies clinging to the mother's back. He says that one day when I was observing the wall very closely, I saw a pale fur coat, and when I was confused, I was wondering, what is this? Where is this coat coming from? When I look closer, I realized that there were a lot of scorpions who were clinging to the back of the big scorpion. I was enraptured. Enraptured is extremely wondered by this family, and I made up my mind to smuggle them into the house and up to my bedroom so that I might keep them and watch them grow. With infinite care, I moved the mother and family into a matchbox and hurried to the villa. So Doodle was so enraptured, so wondered, and so happy that he decided to take all the scorpions to his home. So what did he do to take all the scorpions back to his home? Is that he took all the scorpions in a matchbox and he took them home. So the next paragraph. It was rather unfortunate that just as I entered the door, lunch should be served. So when he entered, his mother was serving the lunch. However, I placed the matchbox carefully on the mantelpiece in the drawing room and made my way to the dining room and joined the family for the meal. He said that I placed the matchbox and then he went to the drawing room to have a yummy meal with his family. Doubting over my food, feeding Roger surreptitiously under the table and listening to the family arguing, I completely forgot about my exciting new captures. So what he does, he goes to the dining table and he takes the meal, and while taking the meal, he totally forgets about the matchbox in which he had kept a lot of scorpions. I completely forgot about my exciting new captures. At last, Larry, having finished, fetched the cigarettes from the drawing room and laying back in his chair, he put one in his mouth and picked the matchbox he had brought. Oblivious means when you are unaware of something, that the end of my happy days was about to come. I watched my eldest brother interestedly as, still talking loudly, he opened the matchbox. So while he was having meal in the drawing room, he did not know that Larry went up and he wanted to lit his cigarette, and instead of taking his matchbox, he took the matchbox which Doodle had brought from the garden, and when he opened, there were scorpions inside it. And you know what would happen the next paragraphs. Now I insist to state that the female scorpion meant no harm. She was nervous and a little annoyed at being shut up in a matchbox for so long, so she seized the first opportunity to escape. She pulled herself out of the box with great rapidity, her babies clinging on desperately, and scuttled onto the back of Larry's hand. There, not quite certain what to do next, she paused, her sting curved up at the ready. Larry, feeling the movement of her claws, glanced down to see what it was, and from that moment things got increasingly confused. So when Larry get the wrong matchbox, what happens? Scorpions go out and they start to scatter on his hand. There's one thing you should remember, that scorpions had been in the matchbox for so long. That's why they were so annoyed and they were so angry. That's why they started scattering themselves on the back of the hand of Larry. Next paragraph. He uttered a roar of fright. A roar of fright means a loud burst of fear that brought Roger out from beneath the table. Barking wildly with a flick of his hand, he sent the unfortunate scorpion flying down the table, and she landed midway between Margot and Leslie, scattering babies like confetti as she thumped on the cloth. While the scorpions were scattering on the back of his hand, he roared out of fright, and then Roger and Leslie also leaped toward him to know what happened to Larry. And with that, there was a rapid change from peace to chaos. Thoroughly enraged at this treatment, the creature sped towards Leslie. The creature means speeding. They were speeding towards Leslie. Her sting quivering with emotion. Her sting quivering with emotion means they wanted badly to sting someone. Leslie leapt to his feet, overturning his chair, and flicked out desperately with his napkin, sending the scorpion soaring across the cloth towards Margot, who promptly let out a scream that any railway engine would have been proud to produce. So this was a scenario, what was happening, everybody was scared. The environment of the dining room was turned from peace to chaos. Eric, look out, they are coming, screamed Margot. Margot says they are coming, just look it out. All we need is a book, roared Leslie. Leslie says all we need is a book and we will throw onto the scorpions and scorpions would die. So this is what she was thinking at that time. Don't panic, hit them with a book. She says don't panic, you don't need to scare, just hit them. Hit the scorpions with a book. Mother, completely bewildered by this sudden and rapid change from peace to chaos, put on her glasses and peered on the table to see what was causing the pandemonium. And at that moment, Margot, in a vain attempt to stop the scorpions at once, held a glass of water. The shower of the water missed the animal completely but successfully drenched the mother, who, not being able to stand cold water, promptly lost her breath and sat gasping at the end of the table, unable to press the S7. So while all of this was happening, everybody was striking out of fear. Everybody was confused and anxious. The mother came and she just asked, because she was confused and anxious to know what was happening and why there was so much noise in the dining room. He was disturbed by the wild and noisy disorder, and Margot, what happened? Margot threw a glass of water to kill all the scorpions, but instead of hitting those scorpions, what was happened that the water drenched the mother, and mother, who could not stand cold water, she started to lose her breath and gasping at the end of the table. Get a knife, hit them with the book, shouted Larry. The boy will kill a lot of us. Look at the table, knee deep in scorpions, kill them. So Larry suggested that we should, get a knife and hit them with the book. So that's why all the scorpions would be killed. Oh no, don't hurt them. I will catch them. I played it until eventually, backed up by Mother Leslie's suggestion that the whole lot to be killed was crushed. Okay, so by the time a certain amount of order had been restored, all the baby scorpions had hidden themselves under various plates and bits of cutlery. So while all of this was happening, all the baby scorpions, they were so scattered on the floor that they started to hide themselves under various plates and bits of cutlery. The results of this incident were numerous. While the family, still feeling angry and frightened, moved to the sitting room, I spent half an hour rounding up the babies, picking them up in a teaspoon and returning them to their mother's back. So all the family moved to the sitting room, and he spent all the time collecting the scorpions with a teaspoon and returning them to their mother's back. Then I carried them outside on a saucer and reluctantly released them on the garden wall. Roger and I went and spent the afternoon on the hillside, for I felt it would be wise to allow the family to have a break before seeing them again. So what he did, he took Roger and he went out on the hillside area to spend some time, because he was too shocked by the incident that how could this be happen. Larry developed a phobia about matchboxes. So after this whole incident, Larry, who was scared of the scorpions, he developed a phobia of matchboxes, and it means that he would never lit his cigarettes. But from my point of view, the worst repercussion of the whole affair was the mother decided to try to stop me from exploring the wild animal. He said that the worst thing was not the phobia of Larry. The worst thing was that his mother realized that instead of having to love animals and taking care of animals and focusing on animal life, I should be giving attention to my studies in a better way. You're running wild again. It is high time you received a little more education. She said, I'm getting you a tutor. So her mother says, you're running wild again, so you're doing all this to tease the whole family. It is better for you to focus on education. So she finds a tutor for him, and then the story ends. This is very important for you to know that this is not the whole story, this is not a whole plot of the autobiography which Durrell wrote. This is just an extract. Extract are the paragraphs which we take from any novel, any story or any autobiography. So do not think that it is a whole story. These are just the extracts. Story is ending, we are moving on to the words meanings and word sentences. Okay, so we are going to start our word meanings. The first one is bulbous, that means fat. The second one is infinite, it means limitless. The third one is intricate, it means complicated. Fourth one is oblivious, it means unaware, when you don't know something. Fifth one is phobia, that is fear. Moving on to word sentences. The first one we have is garden. I have grown a lot of roses in my garden. Second one is hunt. The hunters hunt tigers. Third one is frightened. I got frightened when I saw a snake. Fourth one is decided. My brother has decided to take part in sports. Fifth one is education. A man can never earn dignity without education. Okay students, so we have read the chapter and I have explained you each and everything, the main points. I hope that you have understood. We have already done words meanings and word sentences, and about all the question answers, short question answers and long question answers are there on your notes and you can learn from there. I hope that you have understood and have a clear idea about the chapter. Stay home, stay safe.